Hello. As I'm sure you might be able to see, I am sitting next to a big plastic tub full of books. There's another one sitting right next to it. These are my boyfriend's books. They just got delivered yesterday. We moved in together just over a month, almost 2 months ago now. But now I'm tasked with fitting these books onto these shelves. And unfortunately, I underestimated either how many books he has, how many books I have, or overestimated how much space is on these shelves because I am pretty sure I physically cannot fit everything in this tub onto these shelves, albeit there's some duplicates, so I don't think I'm gonna have to fit all of them onto the shelves, but we'll see. Luckily for me, though, a task of fitting these books onto my shelves fits pretty well with another task, which is to declutter books that I don't want to have on my shelves. It's mostly books that I have read and didn't enjoy, or books that I have read and didn't enjoy enough to keep them on my shelves. Maybe they don't represent exactly my taste in literature. Maybe they're not exactly the authors that I would be curious to ever revisit. They're not books that I would ever lend to anybody or recommend to anybody for one reason or the other. Or they're a special edition of a book that I thought I would love, but unfortunately didn't enjoy as much as I thought I would. So now I am ready to part ways with that special edition. And additionally, there's two books that I had on my shelves that I haven't read yet, but unfortunately, I feel like I don't really have any interest in reading them. So I am ready to part ways with them. This is going to be only books from my fantasy and sci fi shelves. I haven't touched my everything else shelves. I don't need to, I don't think. I think the books that he has will fit just fine onto these shelves. There's enough space. If not, I might add a couple of books that I declutter from those shelves as well. With that out of the way, there's only one more thing to add. If I'm decluttering any of the books that are your favorites, if you love any of these authors, and I have a feeling that at least one of them is going to be, actually, two of them are going to be a favorite of many, many, many people. Just because I'm getting rid of them does not mean that I have anything bad to say about your taste in literature or anything bad to say about these authors or these books to begin with. I didn't hate anything that I'm getting rid of. It's just they weren't my favorites for one reason or the other, or I just don't want to have them on my shelves. I am limited by space in this apartment. These three shelves is sort of the limit of how many shelves we decided we want to have. We might extend and get more in the future, but that is a future project. So at the moment, I would like for all of our books to fit onto these three shelves and not go over that. So, with all of that out of the way, I would like to start with two books that I absolutely did not dislike. These are just duplicates of the books that I have on my shelves. One of them I have in a limited edition, one of them I have in a hardback. Both of these are paperbacks that I absolutely annihilated while reading, which is something that I do fairly frequently. And the first one is The Jurassic Park. I absolutely love this book. I thought it was great fun. I have a limited edition, I have a Folio Society edition of this book. So, I don't need to keep this on my shelf. I love the movies. I enjoyed the book. I enjoyed it more than enough to keep it on my shelf, but probably not enough to ever want to reread it. It's not really a book that I would be interested in rereading. I also don't think my partner would be interested in picking this up. So I don't need to keep this copy. I will donate this to charity, and I'm sure somebody would have a lot of fun reading it. And in that same category, I have Best of Cold by Joe Abercrombie. This is the first standalone in the First Law world. I read the trilogy, I absolutely loved it. I purchased this as a paperback first, and then I repurchased it as a hardback to fit with the trilogy. I love the book. I had a lot of fun reading it. I would recommend this if you are considering. But I don't need to keep the paperback. I am more than happy to reread it as a hardback if I have a wish. I also bought The Heroes in a hardback, and I would like to finish the series in hardback editions. So that is the only reason why I'm donating this. And next up, I have two books that have been on my shelves that I haven't read yet, but I don't think I'm that interested in reading them, and these will be the only two that I will be getting rid of. If I wanted to be completely ruthless, I would get rid of more books on the fantasy shelf. There's a couple more that it's not that I'm not interested in them at all. I am just fairly lukewarm about them. So if for whatever reason I run out of space when trying to fit my boyfriend's books on these shelves, I might extend the declutter. But to begin with, I have Blackwood's Blue Sky by Erwin Ivy. I hope I'm not butchering the name. I might be though. I don't know a lot about the book. It was very much a rash purchase. I thought the synopsis sounded quite interesting. It's a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and from what I've heard, it's not the best one out there. So the more I had it on my shelf, the less interested in it I got. And I think this might be a good time to part ways and donate this to charity, and hopefully whoever picks it up enjoys it. And next up, I have Fable for the End of the World by Ava Reed. I have never read anything by her. I can't say anything good or bad about her writing. I have heard really mixed reviews. Some people say that her writing is good, some people really dislike it. I don't really remember why I picked up this book. I think this was a wild card of let's pick it up and see if I like it or not. But I haven't felt like I wanted to read it ever since. So I feel like it's time to part ways. I have looked at decluttering it a couple of times and I think now is probably the time. That doesn't mean that I won't pick up her books in the future if I find something that really sounds compelling, but I don't think this is going to be the one. So this again will be donated to charity, and I'm sure somebody can pick it up and enjoy it. And now on to the books that I have read that I have had on my shelves for a fair bit of time, but I think now is a good time to part ways. And to begin with, I have Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I have all three books. I can't lift them with one hand. It's limited editions from Waterstones. I do think that these are beautiful editions. I think these are beautiful books, and I really enjoyed Powerless. I can't say the same about Reckless and Fearless, especially Fearless. I am familiar with everything negative that has been said about these series and about this author. I know she's been accused of plagiarism. I can't really comment on that. I haven't read the series that this has been compared to. When I picked up Powerless, I didn't really know anything about those accusations. And to be quite honest with you, I thought Powerless was a wonderful book. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the romance, I enjoyed the plot. Reckless wasn't as fun, but it wasn't as bad as I saw in some of the reviews. But then Fearless was quite disappointing. I also went to an author event in London to see her live, which, to be honest, probably solidified my desire to never read her again. I don't think I'm the age category that she's aiming for. I don't think I'm the target audience. I do think that the idea was good, whether it was hers or not. I did enjoy reading Powerless, like I said. I really enjoyed having these on my shelves. They're beautiful books, they're beautiful editions, but I will never reread them, and I don't think I will ever read anything by her again, just purely because she's not my cup of tea. Her books aren't what I enjoy reading. When I want to reach for romance fantasy, I will probably reach for other authors and I will probably go for adult fantasy more than young adult. But this was fun. The other two can't say the same, but I think this is a good time for us to part ways. And the next one is a very loved series, and I know a lot of people would not agree with me decluttering it. And it was actually one of the first series that I read when I was getting back into reading, I want to say 3 years ago. And I'm talking about Akata. Now, I don't really have a lot of bad to say about Akata or Sarah J. Maas. I'm actually still interested in reading Throne of Glass. I have the first book on my shelf and I will keep it on my shelf. I think I will get around to reading that series at some point. I quite enjoyed her writing. I think it was decent fantasy and it was decent romance. Now, if you're interested in picking it up, if you haven't read it yet, I would say that the first book definitely does not reflect what the series is like. The first book felt very young adult. I have had somebody say that she started writing it as young adult and then moved to adult romance fantasy. So the first book felt a little bit juvenile and not that good. I quite enjoyed the second and the third though. I would definitely skip the novella. I don't think it added anything to the story. And contrary to the popular opinion, I did not like the last book. I thought the last book was a lot more about the romance and sexual tension and sex scenes than it was about fantasy, and I didn't really enjoy that. But as for books two and three, I did genuinely enjoy reading them. I thought fantasy was quite interesting. I really enjoyed the romance in those books. I do feel like she could have committed a little bit more to fantasy and then it would have been a lot more my cup of tea. But that is something that I have had of Throne of Glass series, that it's a lot more fantasy and a lot less romance. So I'm looking forward to reading that. I would keep them on my shelf if I had more space. Unfortunately, I don't. I don't think I will ever reread them, but this is definitely something that I would recommend if you're looking into reading some romance fantasy. These are nice books. They are pretty well written. You will get through them very quickly. And I'm sure you would enjoy the romance story and I'm sure you would enjoy the fantasy. So, not decluttering them because I didn't like them, just decluttering them because I didn't like them enough. And I don't think I will ever be compelled to reread them. And to finish off, I have three special editions that I will also be parting ways with. And the first one is an Illumicrate special edition of Burial Bones in a Midnight Soul by V. Schwab. This was actually the first V. Schwab book that I've ever read, and I can't say a lot of bad about it. It wasn't as good as I was hoping it would be. It felt a little bit slow and at times slightly boring and not as exciting as I wish it was, but I am keeping the other copy that I have. The other one is, I believe, a normal Waterstones edition, but it is signed by her. This is absolutely gorgeous. It's one of the most beautiful books I've ever owned. But because I didn't enjoy the book as much as I thought I would, I don't really feel like I need to keep the special edition. I'm sure somebody would be a lot happier to have it on their shelves than I am. And the next one is a similar story of me not enjoying the book as much as I thought I would, except it was about 20 times more disappointing. And the book that I'm talking about is Catabasis by R.F. Kuang. Now, R.F. Kuang is one of my favorite authors based on reading Yellowface. Babel wasn't the same experience, and Catabasis was definitely a very disappointing read for me. I was really looking forward to it. I had really high expectations, especially because it's set in Cambridge, and I've lived in Cambridge in the last 6 years. This book was definitely not what I was hoping it would be. This one is a special edition by Broken Binding. I have a special edition by Waterstones on my shelf. That was the copy that I was reading, and that is the copy that I will keep on my shelves because I kind of would want to have all of her books on my shelves at least until I maybe potentially give up on her writing. But at the moment, I would like to keep them. But this edition, I don't feel like I need on my shelves for similar reasons as Bury Our Bones in a Midnight Soil. I didn't like the book enough to have two editions of the same book, and this is an unread copy, so I'm sure somebody would be more than happy to own it, but it's not going to be me. And the next one is another slightly disappointing read. It's one that I actually DNF'd at about 40%. And the book that I'm talking about is Alchemized, and this is a gorgeous Waterstones exclusive edition. It's one of the most beautiful sprayed edges I have ever seen, at least done by Waterstones. I have started this book, like I said, I was about 40% in when I decided that I don't want to finish it. 40% in was quite the commitment. It's 400 pages. I haven't read the fanfic, so this was my introduction to the story and to this author's writing. And unfortunately, it just wasn't as enjoyable as I was hoping it would be. I felt a little bit like I'm being spoon fed all of the information rather than shown how things work and how the world works. And I didn't feel like I was that invested in the story or in the world. And to add to that, there's a fair bit of description of some scenes that weren't enjoyable to read about. I know that that was the intention, but I just didn't really want to continue. So I will be parting ways with this copy. I was reading it on Kindle, so the copy again is unread. So I think somebody would be very happy to own it, and that is not going to be me. And that is it. This is quite the sizable stack sitting in front of me. I think this will free up enough space for me to fit all of my partner's books onto these shelves. If that's not the case, then I might get rid of a couple more, but I think this should be enough. I have both bottom shelves empty, so I think I can fit a lot of books on this, and hopefully I won't need to declutter anymore. If I have some space left, I might change my mind and keep a couple of these books, but I don't think that will be the case. I am quite happy with getting rid of these. I don't think I need to have them on my shelf. Like I said, I want my shelves to represent my reading taste, and I'm quite happy with the outcome, and I'm quite happy with the books that I have left on my shelves. I'm excited to read the ones that are unread. There's fair few of those. I think that will be my main focus going into the new year. And if any of the books that I'm getting rid of were your favorites, please let me know in the comments down below. I would love to have a chat about that. And thank you very much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.